Hello, I'm Gemma and this is Non-Fic Books, and today I have my fiction roundup for January. I have 6 books, 4 of which were a good read and 2 of which were really not, so I will start off with the poor ones and get them out of the way. Oh dear, Joan Didion. I really wanted to like her because she's held up as this absolutely incredible American writer, and if Play It As It Lays is a typical representation of her work, it is definitely not for me. It is incredibly modern, short sentences, it's all about a woman who is losing the plot, and unfortunately it reads just too like that to me it's just totally unreadable at all. And another one that I really wanted to like, Willowes by Sylvia Townsend Warner. The plot on this sounded brilliant because it's about a woman in sort of, I think it's around Edwardian sort of time, or World War, not sure, who is a spinster who lives with her brother's family, who is Aunt Lolly all of the time and doesn't have very much personality of her own. Eventually she snaps, moves to a small village, makes a bargain with the devil and becomes a witch. And this was written in the early part of the 20th century, 1926. So I thought, really interesting plotline, and it did theoretically have a lot to say about women and their place. But oh my god, it was so boring. 3/4 of the book seems to happen before she's even moved to this village, and she has absolutely no personality or character and is not likeable, and yeah, there wasn't a single thing that I would say that I particularly enjoyed about this book. So sadly, not one I will be recommending. Thankfully, the next 4 books are a lot better than that. I'll start off with Elizabeth George's A Great Deliverance, which is the first in the Inspector Lynley mysteries. It has taken me ages to get around to this book. I adore the Inspector Lynley mysteries on the TV, and I am a huge crime fan, so I don't know why it has taken me so long, but eventually seeing the really great reviews on Kate Howe's channel has kicked me in the arse, and I've read this and this is absolutely fantastic. I don't really want to say too much because I hate anything I think can very easily spoil crime novels, but I think it's really great when you start to see the relationship between Inspector Lynley and Havers, who is hugely unlikable but totally relatable, and Inspector Lynley is just a fabulous character. They are looking into a murder where someone has admitted to the crime, but Lynley isn't sure, and neither is the Yorkshire village that the crime was committed in, isn't sure that that person is actually the murderer. So they go off to investigate that, and I thought this was absolutely fantastic, and I've ordered the next 3 in the series because I will definitely be ploughing through those next month. I'll stick with the crime novels that Kate Howe kicked me up the arse, or while watching her videos kicked me up the arse to read, and the next one was Ashley Weaver's Murder at the Brightwell, and this is the first in the Amory Ames mysteries. 1920s, really glamorous sort of settings. Amory Ames is a brilliant character, her and an old friend, and eventually then a lot of other fun characters end up at the Brightwell Hotel on the south coast, and oh hello Litlin, a murder is committed, and she decides that she wants to look into this in a little more detail. I thought this was great. I loved her character. Again, I've ordered the next couple in the series because I really want to read some more of this, and I just thought, as far as this is much more a cosy crime, the Inspector Lynley ones are actually a bit darker than I was expecting, which I thought was great, but this is very much a fun historical cosy crime, and I thought this was absolutely brilliant for that sort of thing. The next one is one of the books that my mother-in-law bought me, as was the Joan Didion, as a sort of, you'll be tied to the sofa or your bed because you've got a little one who is feeding all of the bleeding time, so you'll get a lot of reading done, and that was Anna Fortier's Juliet, and this is based around Juliet and, well, Romeo and Juliet, and the premise is that there were originally a character called Juliet and a Romeo who were real characters in Siena, and there's a modern day Juliet who finds out that her family is from this area, and she has been left something by her mother who she never knew. So she goes off to investigate, and the 2 timelines of what you find out with the original Romeo and Juliet and then the modern day Juliet sort of interweave as she investigates what happened to them and then meets the modern day sort of version of the storyline. I thought 90% of this book was really great. The ending is totally unbelievable and a bit silly, but I still recommend reading this book if you like a sort of dual narrative throughout the time periods. I'm not normally the biggest fan. I think if it's done well, it's a wonderful thing, but I do think it's often not necessary, like say in the Lauren Willig Pink Carnation series. Those could totally just be historical novels. But I thought this was done quite well, and apart from a little bit of drama at the end, which was a bit over the top, I thought this was great. I haven't read anything else by Anne Fortier. I don't even know if she has other books. I hope she does, because I will definitely be having a look for them having read this. And then the final one is by an author that I've really wanted to read for ages, and that is Kathleen Tessaro. And she wrote the Perfume Collector, among other things, and I had that book in my hospital bag and have since misplaced it, so I decided to start with this one while I found the other one. And this was a really enjoyable book. And again, it's a dual narrative with a modern day storyline, and in this case a 1920s 30s sort of timeline. Really enjoyable. A young woman comes back from the States and takes a job with her aunt's employee, where they go to an old house to value the all the antiques and everything like that before the estate sale. And it follows her and her modern day sort of plot line as the two of them look through this estate and everything that follows on from that. And then the historical line about one of the famous Blythe sisters who lived in this house and who there's a bit of a mystery surrounding. I thought this was fabulous. I loved her writing style. It was incredibly atmospheric. It was really nicely done. The historical timeline was, the modern day was in just normal prose writing, but then the historical one was done through letters, and I really liked the way it was done that, and I'm not normally a fan of any sort of epistolary novel, so I thought this was really well done. And out of all of them, this one and the two crime novels are the best, and I think more people will enjoy this one. So if you're looking for a really enjoyable piece of historical fiction, I highly recommend this book. And so far I have two others of hers that I will definitely be reading probably in the next month or two. So those are the 6 fiction books that I read. I also read 17 Regency Romances. I'm not going to go through those individually because we will be here forever and no one's got the time or the patience for that. But if you want any recommendations for those sorts of books, leave me a question down below and I'll just say which authors I've been reading, because they were all very good fun, but definitely just hard to pick one from another now that I read so many of them in quick succession. If you've got any questions or comments on the books that I've read, if you have any recommendations based on the ones that I've liked, please leave them down below, and I will see you for hopefully a few more non-fiction books in February now that I'm starting to find my feet with Lynley a little bit more. So thank you very much, and I will see you soon. Bye!